Only mode.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys have enjoyed your week so far. Thanks for being here today. So as you guys may have seen my post on Emodo, just a reminder that we are going to be using our pies today. And we're going to be going back to Minecraft and trying out some new stuff. If you don't have access to your Pi, you can go ahead and just use Python on your computer. And later you can kind of take a data stick and move those files over. Just being careful to save the files in the correct place on your Pi. And hopefully we should know how to do that now, how to open your file manager and get to those directories. First the MCPI, and then API, and then continuing on with that. All right, so yeah, just while people are still getting here, just at the beginning of class, I wanted to take a moment and thank everyone who has been posting to Edmodo on what they have been doing with Minecraft. It's been really cool to see how you guys are using this outside of class, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. We have, just wanted around to show, was Daniel. Daniel made a movie of this clock that he made. Let's see, Daniel, I think Daniel is in my later webinar, but he made a clock with a Python code. So let's go ahead and watch that.
Hey Mr. Dubik and class, I wanted to show you a quick little clock that I'd made using Python. Every second it switches to either stone or diamond ore. I thought you would find this pretty cool.
So I just really appreciate the amount of work that he put into this, creating a really cool kind of pulsing clock, just letting you know the seconds that go by. An interesting use of that um, time module, as well as setting blocks. But then also just artistically, it's very beautiful to watch the colors of that and where they're placed. So really cool work, and I'm glad we got to see it. I think it's great. I know that with our Raspberry Pis, or I can at least use the same screen capture software that I can with my laptop, but I think Daniel here just used an external camera, or like maybe even his phone, to record what he was doing to share on Edmodo, and I love to see that. And then the next, I wanted to show Andrew's website, and he's created his own website called PyCraft, and he has PyCraft as Minecraft for the Raspberry Pi, and a really cool site that he has set up here, where he too is using an just recording the video externally of what he is running on his Minecraft, and he posts it on here. And what's really cool about this as well is that since this is the very start of people really using Minecraft on the Pis, that you guys are really, this isn't, Python, which so many people have written about, so many people have websites on. This is really new software, really exciting new software that you guys could be testing stuff out with and developing for. So really cool, Andrew. And if you guys have been doing anything or trying out any code, I know that there are every day more and more functions being added or explored, so go ahead and check those out, or applications to the functions that are already there. And one more member of the class posted that he had written some codes. Ben had written different codes for um, for Minecraft, and Mr. D and I both really liked this idea of having a pet that follows you around. So that's actually, we are going to look at that code today, and hopefully all you guys will have a little block pet that gets to follow you around in Minecraft. And then also, So I want you guys to try that out a little bit later. And I also have some challenges, some ways that you guys can practice modifying code and writing your own code that go along with this one. So do we have any questions before we start? All right, great. Excellent. So we will be using our pies today, as I said at the beginning of class, but in case you weren't here, we're going to be using our pies. Hopefully you guys have those available. If not, we will be coding with Python, so you can pull that up in your laptop. So what I'm going to have you guys do now, I'm going to give everyone a couple minutes to go ahead and either set up their pies and get those up and running, or go ahead and you can pull up Python on your computer. When you are ready to continue, go ahead and raise your hand. If you can't raise your hand because you're watching on an iPad or an iPod, send me a message so that I know we can continue. Great, I see Max is ready. All right, we're going to give everyone a couple more minutes. All right, so Drew and Elias, I see you guys message me or raise your hand as soon as you guys are ready. Great. Excellent, guys. Everyone is good to go. So, as I said before, we will be looking at that pet code, as well as talking a little bit more about how Minecraft uses those 3 dimensions to place blocks and how we can use Minecraft to have a better understanding of how those dimensions work. And this is a really complicated math idea that you guys are going to get in geometry. And what's great about Minecraft is it makes it so much simpler to picture because you can play around with it and see how moving along the x-axis or just the y-axis or moving along both the x and the y-axis, what that actually looks like by placing blocks in that world. All right. So first, I wanted to talk about, we're going to do some review as we normally do at the beginning of class. And I wanted to bring up, at one point last week, someone very politely pointed out to me that this was not the only way to launch Minecraft on the Pi. And that's really true. We have had this focus on using the terminal because it is a really important skill to understand. It's something that you experience a lot in the community of Linux users. And so it's important that you guys have access to that. It's something that's not always taught. At the same time, if you guys want to know the other way to open Minecraft or to explore your different directories, as long as you understand how to change the directory and to launch Minecraft with your terminal, this is how you would do that kind of the quote-unquote regular way, the way you might be more used to the icon-based, mouse-based way, which is to open your file manager. If you remember, you can get to your file manager by the bottom left corner of your screen. There's going to be that button next to the start button. called File Manager. And when that pops up, you see your list of directories here under Pi, and you can click on that MCPI. And in there, you'll see this icon with the gear, and that's going to launch Minecraft for you. Note that if you are doing Python on your laptop and later you're going to use that data stick to pull the files over, you would continue to click through the directory just like when we saved. So you'd click on API here, and then Python, and then MCPI, and that's where you would store those files. But to run it, this is that icon, and this is going to be much more familiar than how you would on a typical computer, how you would run an application. All right, so once you have Minecraft running in the background, you can go ahead and launch idle. We have had some people emailing or saying that they're having trouble with their code. It's been a really frustrating process for some, but we did trace a lot of that is to people not using 2.7, but instead using idle 3. So what might have to happen is if you're using idle 3 on your laptop and you're transferring those files over, you might want to retype or copy and paste the files that you transfer over with your data stick into idle 2.7 because this is just, it's tending to work better with Minecraft. Fewer glitches. And open a new window. I'm going to jump off for a second, make sure we don't have any questions. All right. Keep going. So we will be opening a new window when we work with that pet code. For now, I'm going to be doing a bit of review. So it's okay if you're not necessarily typing along. This is information that we did in past class. You guys remember that first code that we ran? Just as a reminder of what the typical setup of our Minecraft codes are going to look like. We're going to have our import lines first, and then we're going to have this connection line that connects the Minecraft world in Python. And then after that, you're going to see function lines like this with this MC dot, and then the different functions that are made available through that API and that interface where we can interact with Minecraft through Python. If you check up here too, you can see this directory link of where this file is stored. And it's in this MCPI directory, which is in the Python directory, which is in the API directory in your MCPI directory, right? So this was a little bit challenging the first time you had to save, getting to that right file, but now it should be the standard. When you go to save, check and make sure you're saving it in the right location, but that's where it should save from now on. And again, this is the first screen that popped up, but now when you go to save, you should be directly in this screen here, or I apologize, in the one after this one, so it should say /MCPI as well in this one here. And just like launching Minecraft, there is another way other than going through changing your directories and then launching your program this way. What you can also do, and what others in the class have told me have actually been more successful for them, is when you go to run your program, go into your inside your idle window, inside your new window, click run, and then run module. And that's just like how you would run a regular Python script, and it seems to be working more consistently that way. And then you're hacking Minecraft, and you can check if you have Minecraft up and running, and then you click back into that window, your code should be interacting with the world. All right, any questions so far? Again, just jumping out for a minute. And thanks, guys, for sticking with me as we review. Oh, Will has a question. Hi, Will. What's your question?
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the raise hand button.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, thanks, guys, for sticking with this review. You will get the chance to kind of test out this pet code soon. I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So this was the first code that we had that interacted with the blocks in placing the blocks. And so again, we have our import lines, our connection line. This was our previous code. And then we have this set block function. Make sure this B is capitalized. That's been a big problem in the past. Make sure that B is capitalized. Remember, the first word is uncapitalized, and all following words start with a capital letter. That's the standard in Python. It doesn't matter when you're writing your own functions necessarily. It does not necessarily matter because the computer isn't going to stop you. But if it's someone else's function, this is how they're going to set it. So it needs to have the first word, no capital, and all preceding words start with a capital. So we have this function set block, and then we have our x, y, and z coordinates corresponding to where in the world of Minecraft you're going to set that block. And I wanted to jump and bring in this picture of the x, y, and z coordinates so that maybe this could make a little bit more sense as you are picturing where you're placing the block. This should look pretty familiar from SketchUp. And in SketchUp, we did explore kind of this coordinate system as well. And it's important to think about these are kind of these three lines, the x, the y, and the z axis. And this is where they meet. But a lot of times people will speak about them as planes. So the YZ plane, it's this thin, almost looks like a sheet of paper that the y-axis and the z-axis create. It's as if you just slid a sheet of paper onto these two, onto this cross. The YX plane is also a sheet of paper, but on these two. So it's as though, you have a sheet of paper this way. These would be perpendicular to each other. And the XZ plane involves the X and the Z, and that's going to be like horizontal. That's what we picture as the ground. If someone was standing, they'd be standing on the XZ plane. And so with the X and the Y and the Z, they correspond to where you're setting the stone. Think about it. So if you have this 1, 10, 0, you move 1 forward in the positive X direction, 10 in the positive Y direction, and that means up, and none in the Z direction. And in Minecraft, you can kind of think about these things from your position as if you're going from where the player is standing, if the player is standing at 0, 0, 0, right there, right at the origin, going in the positive direction x-wise is going to be going to the right of the player. If you're going in the positive direction y, you're going to be going up from the player. And if you're in the positive direction z, you're going to be going in front of the player. So that's kind of how you guys are going to be orienting yourself in this world. All right, and then we can get that player's position and use it. You can either set the player's position, and we looked at this jump code here, which is available at the websites that I posted on Edmodo. This can be really nice to have this if you are using Minecraft, because you're able then, if you get to one place in the world and you don't want to have to, let's say you drop into a cliff, or you don't want to have to run all the way back, what you can actually do is just run your jump code through Python and get back to where you want to go. This jump code can be nice. And in the code, you can just open the code and change the coordinates and jump to that point. Again, this code is available on Edmodo currently. It's in that website that I posted, and I can show that at the end of class. But I had posted 3 websites last week. All right. So we're going to, I want you guys to have an opportunity to kind of work with code, because I know this has been a lot of lecture and you guys have been looking at the slides, but we're going to come back to this sphere and talk about how we can understand the Minecraft world and kind of the mathematical side of it in a moment, and this is going to go back to that coordinate system. All right. You can build really cool shapes that really exemplify how you model geometry through math. But for now, I do want you guys to go ahead and open a new program. This is a program inspired by Ben, our Ben from an earlier, Ben W. And he has posted the code today, but this is actually not the code that he wrote. This is a code that Mr. D and I decided would be great to try out because it's really cool once you get it working in Minecraft. It's really cool to see that little guy. This is, I ran the code in Minecraft, and when you turn around, you can see your little block pet as it follows you. So what I want you guys to do is open a new window in Python and start copying this code as I go through and explain it. And so what happens, we start, this is not the full code. I'm going to have everyone get to this point before we keep seeing. Actually, let's move this. There we go. So make sure you guys are also paying attention while you're copying the lines, because I'm going to, after you hopefully get this pet to run on your pies, I'm going to offer a challenge where you have to change this code, just tweak it a little bit in order to do something a little different. But if you don't understand which line is doing what, it's going to be really hard for you to do the challenge. But if you pay attention, you should be able to get it. So we have our first two import lines, which we should expect at this point. And then we have our connection line that connects Minecraft and Python. What we're going to do is we're going to find the position of our player in the Minecraft world and set it to this POS, which I'm going to call POS variable. And this is just the initial position because we're going to use it right here. Next, I'm going to set this variable var equal to 1. I'm going to give it the value 1. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to create an infinite loop. If you guys remember back to Python when we did loops, we would have a while loop, and then that would be followed by an expression. Sometimes the expression would be while blank is true, and we would use that at the end of games to say, if we would ask the player if they wanted to play again, and if so, that you'd say while, this variable equals yes, their response was yes, they did want to play the game, then go ahead and restart it. Right, we would have these while loops with Boolean expressions. Expressions that would be true or false. If it was true, it would start the loop. And if not, it would jump past it. Or sometimes while loops can be used with a counter. So while a variable is less than 10, and every time it goes through the loop, the variable adds one more, then the while loop will go through 10 times. In this case, this expression is always going to be true. So what's going to happen is anything in this loop block, it's going to be continuously repeated. And it's never going to jump back up to the beginning. This will never be redone, and there will be no code after it. It's an infinite loop. And what's happening in this loop is, before I get into the specifics, is Minecraft is finding the position of the player, placing a wool block behind the player, and then when the player moves, it's erasing the first wool block and adding another one. And what it feels like when you're playing the game is it looks like the little block you created one block that's just following you around, your pet. But what's actually happening is you're creating blocks continuously as you move, and the old blocks from where you used to be are disappearing. All right, so we have our infinite loop set up, and this first line doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense yet. We're actually going to skip this first line and come back to it in just one moment. But what this line is doing is erasing the previous block, okay? Well, let's start here. We get our position. I know it looks like we already did this, but the reason that we repeat it is because we're going to be continuously getting it. This is just for our initial position. We have the position of the player, saved as pos. Then we can go ahead and set a block, and we break the position into the X, the Y, and the Z. So we're going to set a block. And what this statement here means is wherever the player is on the X coordinate, on the X axis, put the block there, but one to the left of the player. Wherever the player is on the Y coordinate, that's where the block on the Y coordinate is going to be. And wherever the player is on the Z axis, go ahead and put the block one behind the player. So what this is doing, it's subtracting 1 from the value of the X value and the Z value. And like I said, when you go in the negative direction on the X axis, it's like moving the block to the left of the player. The negative direction on the Z axis, it's like moving the block behind the player. And the reason that we do this, instead of just putting the block exactly at the position of the player, is because then wherever you would move, the block would be right there. So it puts this block one to the left and one behind the player, and the block is made of wool. And the reason we do that is because we'll actually be able to change the color of it if we want. It gets to the end of the loop and it starts over because it's going to continuously run. And what's going to happen is this line of code is actually not going to run until you move. But once you move, it takes your old position, what you already had, and it changes that block into air. It changes that wool block into air. It essentially erases it. And then you update the player's position and the block appears there. The block is erased and the loop continues. I'm going to jump off and see if we have any questions. All right, it does not seem like we have any questions at this point. Please, guys, let me know if you have questions. I want you guys to try this out. I want you guys to be typing this out and trying to get it to work for your Minecraft. Here, I have the code a little larger so that I can still answer questions, but you guys can be typing. I'm going to offer you guys the challenge of once you get it working, try to change the color of your block. And I will let you know that these numbers correspond to color indices. So if you wanted to get the color red in Python, in Minecraft, that means that you would use the number 14. I'm not going to tell you where in the code you would have to add this number 14, but just think about where you are setting the block, which line of code is about that block of wool that you want to die, quote unquote, and think about what we've done in Python in the past. And I'll show you guys, once everyone has it, actually how to change the color. But for now, I'm going to leave that for you guys to think about. All right, so go ahead. You guys should be trying this out, typing this code out, letting me know if you have any questions. I'm going to give everyone till about 4:05 to work on this. And in that point, I'll ask you guys questions, see how you guys are doing. All right, so everybody be working on this. Let me know if you run into any problems. Also, let me know if you are confused at all about what you should be doing right now. All right, guys, so it is 4:05, so I'm just going to check in and see how people are doing. Go ahead and once you have, if you have gotten it to work on your on your Pi, if you've gotten the pet to pop up in Minecraft, go ahead and raise your hand. Or once you do get that, go ahead and raise your hand. Great, Anthony, that's awesome. See a couple people's hands have popped up. Excellent, guys, that's really great. Um, totally okay too if you guys haven't had it yet. It's a lot to type and get right, especially if you're not using Pi today. If you have gotten it to work and you want, we are going to do another challenge at 4:10. I'm going to give everyone about 5 more minutes to work on this one though. until that point, try to think about what you would have to change the shape of your pet. Right now it's just that one pixel, right? It's just that one cube. Maybe you want to make it longer. Maybe make it longer, then give it a head. I will let you know that to change the color, what you do is you add a comma after this wool ID and you just type the color and then end parentheses. So experiment with the color. Experiment, maybe make it have different colors. Maybe have a rainbow pet. So try that out until 4:10. And again, for those of you who haven't got it working yet, go ahead and raise your hand when it is working. Steven, I understand that it's on your laptop, so you can't launch it through Minecraft, but you definitely can be typing along, especially because we are going to have a challenge next, and you'll be able to take those files and transfer it to your Pi. So right now, this is just copying code, but it's important that you understand copying code is a really important step as well in understanding Python. Just like reading a language, I know I've used this analogy before, but just like reading a language before being able to speak it. Typing it through as opposed to just highlighting the code and pasting. Because then you don't really get into the code to understand it. Again, so about 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to introduce another challenge. Guys, please feel free to send me any questions that you guys are having. Oh, someone asked what the code is for the color again. Again, after the block wool ID, this is the X, the Y, the Z coordinates, and you're putting commas between them. And then you say what kind of block that you want. Add another comma, and then just write the number corresponding to the color that you'd like, and then you end your parentheses. So it's just another little add-on information, a comma after your ID, and then the color. And that works with wool. That's not going to work with all of the block types. All right, Olivia, so I hope that answered your question there. All right, guys, so it is 4:10. So what I'm going to say, it's completely okay if you have not gotten the pet to work. If you're still working on typing it, that's definitely fine. I am going to ask you guys to quickly take a break from typing that code. I'm going to put people's hands down. Take a break from typing that code and pay attention to my screen because I'm going to offer a challenge. And after I offer the challenge, I'll pop that other screen back up with the code and you can continue typing at that point. So what I want you guys to do is modify the previous code, the pet code. So go ahead and you can open a new window because I don't want you to lose your pet code as well. But I want you to think about those lines of code in pet and about what each one does. I want you to modify that to create a code that leaves a trail of gold wherever your player has walked. All right? So think about what each line of code does, and remember with the last code, it looks like the block is following you, but really what you're doing is creating a continuous stream of blocks with the rest of the blocks behind it being deleted. Each block being deleted as you move forward, except for the block directly behind you. In this case, you want your blocks to line up in a trail. And I'll also say the ID for gold. If you get this challenge to work, think about what alterations you would need to, instead of making it a trail of gold, right? This is in Minecraft, I look behind me and this is what I see, but making it a bridge. Think about with the bridge too, you don't want it to be a wall or an impediment for you to be walking, you want it to be under your feet. Okay, so let me zoom out here. You're going to be using this gold block ID in order, instead of the block wool ID for that gold when you're doing the challenge. But if you haven't gotten the pet to work yet, go ahead and focus on that. And once you have that working, you can try for the trail of gold, modifying this code to get a Midas code where you leave a trail of gold. All right? So if anyone has any questions on what they're supposed to be doing, go ahead, let me know. For now, I want you guys to try to do that. Try to make that Midas code. Yes, I am here. Great, Anthony, you did the trail. That's awesome. Go ahead and try the bridge and let me know how that goes. Oh, okay, good. Andrew, you weren't here at the beginning of class, I don't believe, when we did this, but I wanted to let you know that we did. I have been showing off your website, and I think that's really great. I know that right now there are so few websites that offer that, solely solely devoted to Minecraft Pi. So that's wonderful, and I liked your 2 tutorials on there. Oh, you were. I'm sorry, Andrew. I was looking for you maybe under Padlet. Oh, I see. Well, again, that's great. Awesome work. All right, guys, so I'm going to check back in. Um, and see how you guys are doing. So just one moment. If you guys could raise your hand if you got the pet code, this original pet code to work. And Max, I saw your message before, so I know that you got it. All right. Great. And raise your hand if you have gotten the, and Anthony, I saw your response, but if you have gotten the trail to work. Great. Great work, Olivia. All right, so I'm going to take a brief moment at this point. We have about 10 minutes left, and after this, I am going to show you the code on how, or just talk through to how you would think about modifying the code or how you would approach it. I'm going to take this opportunity to do a couple polls. The first one is about pace. You guys have seen this one definitely before. All right, the pace seems to be good, but only half of you guys have responded. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer, see if we can get some more responses here. All right, good to know. And so it seems like most people are feeling good about the pace in the class. And some people that might be more familiar with Minecraft or who are enjoying using it outside of class um, might be rushing right through. But hopefully you guys can enjoy some of these challenges. And then this second question I'm going to ask you guys, it says, how are you enjoying the classes? But really what I want to know is how you guys are enjoying Minecraft. I know that we've gotten some people that really love it, and I've enjoyed working with it outside of class, but we wanted to just check in with the whole class. So again, it'll say, how are you enjoying Minecraft? And it'll say, how are you enjoying classes, but specifically keep Minecraft in mind. And before I ask to, kind of our idea, and we're not sure if we are going to do this next week, was to create a game where a block of gold is placed somewhere in Minecraft, and as the player searches for it, little messages pop up saying getting warmer or getting cooler. But before we wanted to dive more into that, we wanted to get some feedback. So how you guys are enjoying Minecraft? If you can't respond because you're using an iPod or it just won't let you, go ahead and just let me know your response. Wow, you guys, overwhelming response that you guys enjoy Minecraft. So I'm really glad. Um, I know, I know. We have three O's and good. They actually do not make it very easy to edit these polls, but that should just say good with two O's. Excellent, guys. I'm glad to know that you guys are enjoying Minecraft. And so on that note, let's go ahead and look at this code and think about how we could use what we already have here to instead get this trail. And what you'll see is that it's actually much easier to have the trail than to have the pet. So let me go ahead and pull this up here. And so this is my Midas code. And you'll notice that it is very similar to the pet code, that actually the only difference is that we don't have that first set block with air. We also don't have that initial position, but the reason that we don't have this initial position here is because our set block with air refers to a position. So as you guys know, you have to define a variable before you use it. And so that's what we were doing here with our initial position. And then we have this line of code that erases the past blocks, right? So we have our initial position, a wool block is set there. As we move, the past block is replaced with air. Well, if instead of replacing it with air, you just left it and changed the ID to gold, then as you move, the spot to the left and to the back of you, so diagonally behind you to the left, is going to leave this trail of gold behind you. Just like King Midas, whenever he touched anything, it turned to gold. Well, wherever you walk, a gold block is going to pop up there. And the second part of the challenge was to think about, okay, now we know that we could have it behind us, but how would we get the block in front of us? To do that, you would just be changing your position according to your axes. So right now, it's behind you because you have this -1 and this -1. X deals with to the left and the right of the player, and Z is going to deal with in front of and behind the player. And guys, this is based off of as you initially start moving. This is going to change if you rotate yourself in the game, but this is based off of how you initially start moving. If you are moving in the world in the positive X direction and the positive Z direction. if you want it to be a bridge instead, you would add 1. So it's going to be the spot in front of you where the gold is. So instead of position X minus 1, oh, not X. X, you're going to just have position X with no subtraction, because we do want it to be the same X. We want it to be the line directly in front of us. For position Z, you're going to want that to be in front of you. So you're going to add 1 to the Z-axis. Let me go ahead and pull up these axes again. So it's just going to be the position on the Z-axis directly in front of you. No different on the X-axis though, because you don't want it to be to the left or to the right. For Y, if you didn't change anything, it would be in line with you. And we know since these are big blocks, it's going to pretty much be a wall. So you are going to want to subtract 1 from the Y position. And so that's how you would kind of create the bridge to work instead, make the bridge as opposed to a trail behind you. And Olivia says that she got it to work. Olivia, that's great. That's really awesome. If you guys are, maybe looking at this later and you're like, wait, man, I really don't know if I'm supposed to have the x-axis changed. I'm not sure. Am I supposed to subtract or am I supposed to add? Try it out. Really, the only bad thing that will happen is Minecraft says, oh, I can't run that. It's really easy to just run it and save it and start over. So just try it out and see where the block pops up. If it pops up in the wrong spot, think about it. Think about that axis. Think about what you changed and how you could change it to make it where you would like it. And that's how you guys can also be making your own codes as opposed to just following these challenges I'm giving you. Yes, Andrew, you can also just use while true. Andrew had a question about the infinite loops, and that's actually more used in the programming community, but I wanted to bring back that idea of the while statement. That is true, Andrew. This could just say while true, and then I would not have had to establish the variable equals 1. All right, so do we have any questions? Oh, great, Will. Hi, Will. What's your question?
Is there somewhere we could find like a list of the different functions?
There is. Actually, so on Edmodo, I wanted to show this again. I have, let me try to find this where I put it. I have these different resources, but I'm going to pause my screen for one moment because I found this just before class. All right, I can't find this right now. What I was able to locate online is that they have a list of all the functions available. But the one that I found was not for Python. It was for a similar programming language, but it's not going to transfer completely. But I do know that there's a way you can just even ask your Raspberry Pi to list all the functions. So I will figure that out and post it when I post the video tonight. That way you guys, yeah, that's smart, because you guys can really just have all of the functions at hand. Good question. All right, guys, I will see you Monday. And I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying Minecraft. And just waiting for the response on the rest of the classes to see how they're liking it as well. All right. Bye, guys. I will see you Monday. Let me post anything that you guys do on Edmodo. I'd love to see what you guys are doing in Minecraft.